going to spend some time talking about sociology and anthropology at Augustana, and also just a little bit about academic life at Augie. And hopefully we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers towards the second half of the session. So I'll say just a few things about our program and our goals, our learning goals for students. We really pride ourselves on focusing on helping students understand this richly diverse social and cultural world that we all occupy. So I feel like the students that tend to be drawn to sociology and anthropology as fields of study are students that are really curious about people and that are curious about the world that they live in. And I think that's one thing that we do really well, is that we, highlight social structure, social organization, social inequalities, and human cultural diversity. And that's a lot of what our goals are, is helping students understand those things better. And our students tend to go on beyond Augustana in a lot of different directions. So we do have a good number of students who seek out opportunities in the world of social organizations and not-for-profit organizations and social services. I should mention that in addition to the major and minor in sociology and anthropology, we also have a pre-Masters of Social Work advising track. So that's not an independent, kind of major or minor, but it's a series of courses that we recommend for students that are interested in going on in that field of study. We have a number of students that have gone on into academia in various capacities, going on for various graduate degrees, students working in museum studies, students seeking out graduate degrees in public health. I'm also the former chair of the public health program at Augustana. I think that obviously right now, especially, we're thinking and talking a lot about public health, and the way that public health intersects with human behavior is kind of where a lot of my interests sit. I'm a medical anthropologist, so I'm really interested in the ways that health and illness are influenced by our social and cultural realities. So, so thinking about health and illness through a social lens is something that we can help prepare you to do. In terms of what happens when you're at Augustana studying sociology and anthropology, I had a slide that laid out the major and the minor. That information is certainly all available on our website in the academic catalog, so you can take a look at that whenever you like. But essentially what it boils down to is students will take intro level classes in sociology and anthropology as majors. We have a 200 level course that's a mixed methods, social science research methods class, which is a great preparation for doing independent research. Further down the line, I'll get there in just a second. There's a 300 level theory class, and then the 400 level senior inquiry, which is a pretty unique thing to Augustana in that all students do some kind of comprehensive capstone project before they graduate, and we call that senior inquiry. So our curriculum is really scaffolded and designed to help prepare you as you go deeper into the major to do that work in senior inquiry. So from intro to methods to theory to actually doing the work yourself in SI or senior inquiry. And then along the way, you can take a number of elective courses from a very wide range of topics. So these are the courses that we as professors tend to teach in our areas of expertise, our research interests. So I teach a class called Anthropology of Global Health, and I'll be teaching that in the fall. And I also teach an ethnography class. So ethnography is the kind of literary genre of anthropologists. So those are the books that anthropologists produce as a result of their field research. We have courses in environmental sociology. We have courses on race, class, and ethnicity. We have courses on tourism, on popular culture, refugees in the United States, citizenship. It really runs the gamut. We have a very wide, kind of broad range of expertise among faculty members within our department. So that can be the kind of, you find your lane through the electives a lot of the time, in terms of what interests you the most. In addition to, just kind of the coursework you'll be doing as a major, there's certainly opportunities that we highly encourage you to take advantage of. Internships, for example, within the Quad Cities community or beyond. So we have a lot of students who engage in internships in the summer, and then also during the academic year at times. There's a number of organizations and institutions within the Quad Cities that our majors tend to gravitate toward. So we have always a number of students either entering or exiting internships at World Relief, which is our local refugee resettlement agency in the Quad Cities. And we always have students interning at the Putnam Museum of Natural History. So those are kind of two great spots for internships for our majors. We also have, I think we really prepare students well to have a very rich study away experience, because of the way that we really emphasize, again, social and cultural diversity. A lot of our students really seek out study away opportunities, particularly study abroad. And I think having coursework in sociology and anthropology under your belt before you take advantage of those opportunities can be really great. It's a good preparation for that experience. And if you don't already know about Augie Choice, maybe you do. That's a way that Augustana students oftentimes make these experiences a reality for themselves. It's $2,000 that students are given that they can use toward study away opportunities, towards an internship. As we know, most internships are unpaid, or are very not so highly paid positions. And so Augie Choice can be used to help offset living expenses if you are doing an internship. They can be also used for research. So we have a number of students every year who are our majors who are doing summer research, and Augie Choice can help offset those expenses. And oftentimes that research is in preparation for senior inquiry. So we have a lot of students who like to do their field work, as it were, over the summer between their junior and senior year. And we have a really great track record of students getting funding beyond Augie Choice to do that work as well. We have a student research committee at Augustana that helps fund those projects as well. And there's a summer research fellowship that students can apply for to help further offset some of those expenses. So those are some of the other amazing opportunities that a lot of students take advantage of: internships, study away, and doing independent research as well. So, trying to think of what else was on my slides that I could talk about right now, or I could answer questions.
I have a quick question for you, Dr.
Sure.
What we just started J-term, obviously, this year.
Yes.
And I was wondering if sociology or anthropology had a course that was represented over J-term, and maybe what an example of that was.
Sure, I have a few examples I can give you. Yes, so of course, January term is our immersive term between fall and spring in January. And this past year, we had a faculty member who led students on a study away trip to Japan, which was pretty exciting. And so they were doing coursework and traveling with a small group. And that was Marcia Smith, who is one of our long-term, she's actually emerita now. She retired, but she's still coming back to do J-term because she loves to take students to Asia. And the classes that were happening on campus, we had at least one intro section that was being offered. And then Dr. Adam Call, who is the other tenured anthropologist at Augie with me, taught an anthropology of film class. So looking at various depictions of, again, human cultural diversity through the medium of film, both documentary style films and then also kind of popular film as well. So that was a really fun one. I think that the format of J-term, which is very intensive, you're in the classroom 5 days a week, taking one class at a time. And so, you know, you're in the classroom for around 3 hours a day. And so that can actually be a really good kind of format to do film plus discussion. I can say that, you know, as someone who likes to show the occasional film in class, sometimes it's hard because if you're choosing something that's like an hour and a half long, you have no time to talk about it. So with that format, there was plenty of time to talk about it. And I think the students really enjoyed that. Yeah.
And those of you that are new to the term J-term, as Dr. Hough mentioned, it is a 3-week course, intensive week course that happens during January. So it's after the new year, and like ends usually right around February 1st. All first year students have to take a J-term. It's a mandatory thing, but you will want to because it's already included in your tuition. And what a cool opportunity to pick up an extra class, especially if you'd like to add on a minor or a double major. It's just a great way to really maximize your time. And what else are you going to be doing in January, like at home? Like you're not gonna wait to be able to get back to be with your classmates on campus. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors have the opportunity of taking that course either on campus or abroad. As Dr. Hough mentioned, some of the options in Asia. Spring athletes will also take, if you're a spring athlete, you also will take a J-term course for sure. So such exciting things.
For sure. And just from a faculty perspective, I can say, you know, we've been encouraged to really make J-term a creative endeavor, you know, so because it's so unique, because you don't have a full semester, you just have like 3.5 weeks. You know, oh, look at that cute dog. Hi, what a cutie. Like a little Muppet. So the idea being that, you know, you're taking, you know, kind of one topic or one focus and really doing a deep dive. I have not taught on J-term yet, but I'm already kind of mentally mapping out some new courses that I might want to teach. I feel like an anthropology of clothing, like fashion, would be really fun, and I'd like to teach that. I also have an interest in artificial intelligence. I'm not a computer scientist by any stretch, but I think it's really interesting, like the idea that I don't know, there may be big changes afoot to what it means to be human once we have machines that can think for themselves. We can't claim that as our unique thing as a species anymore. So we'll see down the line. What else?
Don't hesitate to put questions in the chat
Please.
For Dr. Hough.
That would be great. Without my slides, I feel like, I don't know, I'm hoping I'm not missing anything, but yes, I'd love to answer some questions. And I don't have the chat window open right now.
I do.
Okay, cool.
And I'll ask them, but I guess in the meantime,
yeah.
You mentioned you started your presentation off a little bit about like students that could be interested in anthropology or sociology. If you're unsure, like you're maybe a junior in high school and you've only just heard of anthropology or sociology sort of randomly, like How do you explain what an anthropologist does and what they might do? I know that it's super, there's lots of different things, but how,
Sure.
in a short elevator speech, how would you explain that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because even, I mean, I remember when I decided to major in sociology and anthropology when I was an undergrad. You know, I remember relatives asking me like, "Oh, well, where are you going to go dig?" And I was like, "Well, that is part of anthropology, but it's not the part of anthropology that I'm going to do." So anthropology is, as a discipline, super broad, and does incorporate archaeology and also physical anthropology, which looks at essentially, you know, human skeletal and pre-human skeletal remains and dentition, teeth, all the stuff that gets left behind. And physical anthropologists look at that evidence to tell the story of human beings and our pre-human ancestors that came before us. And then linguistic anthropology is also its own subdiscipline, but we really focus on cultural anthropology at Augustana, which is why it's such a good fit with sociology. So as cultural anthropologists, we are really interested in the story of contemporary human cultural diversity. So all of the different ways there are to be human, because there's many ways. And sometimes we get kind of stuck in a rut of thinking that our way is the only way or our way is the best way. And I think there's always a lot to learn from others around the world and to kind of broaden our horizons in that way. Yeah. And then sociology is our sister discipline that actually predates anthropology historically. And sociologists have historically been, you know, primarily interested in forms of social organization. So anthropology historically has looked globally, and sociology has tended to be a little bit more focused on, you know, whether you want to call them industrial nations or kind of economically advanced nations. But I think both disciplines have expanded their scope over time. And we have a lot in common. That's why we're housed in one department, and we feel really good about that. We get along really well as colleagues and as disciplines.
So kind of following up on that, a question that I had, are those two distinct programs, sociology and anthropology? She's looking at them as a potential minor.
Mm-hmm.
You're in psych. So I guess I have two questions. Can you speak a bit to the overlap of coursework if you're doing a major in psych with, and then is it a combination of those two programs together, or are we choosing between sociology and anthropology for the minor?
That's a great question. And just as it's so many new things have been happening at Augustana this year. So we have, you know, our switch to a semester-based calendar. January term is new. And likewise, we as a department took the opportunity of the semester transition to combine the majors. So we used to have a freestanding sociology major and a freestanding anthropology major. Now we have a combined SOAN, sociology, anthropology major and a minor. So all of the courses that a student would take as a major or a minor are within the same, what we call course code. So all of the courses are SOAN courses right now. If you were minoring, you would be required to choose one of the intro classes. So either intro to sociology or intro to anthropology. You'd take the 200 level methods class. You'd take one of the theory classes. That would either be social theory or anthropological theory, and then some elective courses, whatever you like within the program. So as of now, as of this year, the distinction, you know, between programs has gone away for new students. So we're still graduating students with sociology or anthropology majors right now, and we will be for a few years. But the students that started Augie this year are the first ones to declare the new combined major. And a SOAN psych combo is great. I think that that's a really strong combination that's, you know, that overlaps, but, you know, obviously psychology is really focused on the individual. And then you have, you know, like, why do people do what they do? I think all of the disciplines that we're talking about here, sociology, anthropology, and psych, are really interested in that question, but they come at it from different angles. But I think those can be very complementary to each other.
Are there any other questions from the group? I'm looking at the chat. I know some people just want to listen and soak it all in.
Hi, I appreciate you doing this. A question about like the whole department, like how many teachers like would you be encountering through, if she's going to do a minor, like how many teachers would you touch on going through that process?
Sure. I guess I'd say it depends, because some students find their favorites and they kind of, you know, will kind of seek out the courses that those professors offer. But I'm doing the counting in my head right now. So we currently have 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 tenure track or tenured faculty members within the department. And this year we have 3 full-time visiting faculty members. So this year we have kind of 8 full-time faculty members within the department. And I mean, over a student's 4-year career, they may take a class from every professor in our department. I don't know if students ever like make that a goal. That's really interesting. I don't know if that is a motivator for how students are choosing courses. I kind of suspect not, but I would say at minimum, they would be, any given student would be taking courses from at least 4 different professors within the department, if they're doing a major for sure.
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to tell our group, or I guess how, I don't know, CORE, our office on campus, I don't know if the majority of your students are working through them for grad school, or are you doing a lot of that advising for students who then are going on to do their master's or PhD? How does your department approach that?
Yeah, we do, particularly for what we might call, you know, academic degrees beyond undergrad versus like a pre-professional degree. So although I would say, like, if someone was interested in a master's of public health, I have that degree, so I can advise on that score. But yeah, we certainly have a lot of students who are going on to different kinds of degrees, right? Like a master's in social work, like maybe a master's in health administration, you know, a more professional graduate degree. But on the academic front, if a student is really committed to becoming a professional sociologist or anthropologist, we would be doing some pretty intensive mentoring and advising to help them get ready for grad school. And really think long and hard about, you know, what that decision means. And, you know, we have a guidebook that we wrote up because it's a major undertaking, particularly, and we don't have a ton of students who are interested in getting PhDs, but when we do, you know, we explain to them, this is a major commitment, and it also means, you know, you're not entering the working world in quite the same way if you're going to graduate school after undergrad, particularly if you're taking a gap year or going right away. So there are some very practical things you need to think about, like, where can you live on a graduate student salary? You know, San Francisco is gorgeous and it's an amazing and vibrant urban center, and so is New York City, but I don't know if you'd want to be a grad student there necessarily So I don't know if those cost of living adjustments are really, if they really work out in the favor of graduate students ever. So so those are the kinds of things we talk about, in addition to, you know, figuring out who's going to be your mentor, who's going to help you achieve what you want to achieve in grad school and to be able to do successful work. Those are all the things that we would talk about and do, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of students who talk about anthropology as a part of being interested in the healthcare field. As you mentioned, health behavior is an area of interest for you personally. Do you have a percentage, or maybe just anecdotally, how many students from your department, either sociology, anthropology, go on to work in the healthcare field?
I don't have any like statistics on that. I do know that I think particularly within the minor, like we have a lot of students who are minoring in either anthropology or sociology, or now in SOAN, who are pre-health professions folks. And I think a large part of that is not just from the health behavior angle, but also from the angle of being a culturally competent healthcare provider. So it's really important that you can provide care that that patients can understand, that where they will feel respected and heard, and where they'll actually listen to what you're advising. So there's some pretty important lessons to learn, I think, from a discipline like anthropology, in order to be a more effective clinician and to be able to provide better care for a diverse patient population. Yeah, for sure. So I think the overlap both with public health, being about disease prevention and health promotion, on one hand, is really strong because of the behavior change components of that. And then on the other hand, you have people who are really interested in doing clinical work, whether it's being a nurse or a doctor or a PA or physical therapist or what have you, where how do you interact with people and how do you understand the ideas that they're bringing to the clinical encounter can be really important in helping to provide effective care. So that's important.
We have just a couple more minutes. Any other questions that anyone would like to ask before I ask my last question?
Juniors, don't be afraid.
You can just drop it in the chat.
Yes.
Well, I will ask my last question. You mentioned Asia as a study away opportunity, but are there some other of your personal favorites, or have you ever spearheaded a study away that you find particularly interesting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have not personally. I did do my dissertation fieldwork in West Africa, but when I got my job at Augie, that was also kind of peak, you know, time. That's when I was starting my family as well. So I have 2 kids, and haven't been able to commit yet to spending an extensive time away from them doing something like that. So it's something I definitely see in my future, but I haven't done it yet. But we do have faculty members in the department who have taken students to Ireland, to London, just within our faculty. I think one of the really exciting things about our move to a semester calendar is that I think, in essence, what that opportunity can do, what that opportunity of the new calendar does is it creates opportunities both for longer study away experiences for a semester as an exchange student. That was my own undergraduate experience. I was an exchange student at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland for a semester. And that was my first time out of the country, and I did it by myself. And it was such an amazing experience. And I grew so much as a person And, you know, I didn't go somewhere, you know, exotic or, you know, I mean, Europe is far, but it was an amazing stepping stone. I don't know if I would have been able to do the field work that I did in Africa if it were not for that foundational experience. Anyway, but being on a semester calendar now means that students have even more opportunities with other universities all around the world to be a student there for a semester, either in the fall or the spring. So we have the longer experiences, and now we also have the shorter term experiences of J-term, where, you know, if you're a double major, maybe you can't be away for an entire semester, but you can take advantage of a January term trip where you're away for a few weeks. Again, with a faculty member and a small group of students, which is a special kind of experience, I think, because you're in a group that will certainly form tight bonds, and you're experiencing something pretty amazing and life-changing potentially. So there's lots of great choices out there. Even just scanning. Last year when I was doing advising, I was scanning the list and I was like, oh, so many awesome opportunities. I would like to go to all these places. That's great.
No kidding. Like, yes, great advice. Like, go while you're in college, because
Yeah,
as you mentioned, like life gets away from you afterwards, and it's not as easy as it would be to do it in college, for sure.
for sure. For
Well,
sure.
thank you so much for joining us tonight, to everyone, and I hope that you all will join me in thanking Dr. Hough for doing this session tonight. And feel free to let us know if there's any other questions that you have, and I'll put my email in this chat box, and you're welcome to email me and I can pass those on to Dr. Hough too. But have a great night, and we hope to see you back when campus opens soon.
Thank you so much for being here and for asking questions. I'm putting my email in the chat as well. And if you have any questions you want to follow up on, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Have
Everyone,
a great night, guys.
stay safe and stay healthy. Take good care.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.